accomplish for this area if you are elected?
Well, my major goals are a real emphasis on the education of our young people at Southeast Iowa, and being a 43-year public servant in the name of education, that is an incredibly high priority to me. And I don't even know if the second one is a second priority, is the economic condition and the development of Southeast Iowa. They pretty much go hand in hand, education, economic development. So those are my priorities that I want to focus on if I were to be elected to the state senate. I also have concerns about our infrastructure in Southeast Iowa. I want to make sure that we're paying attention to our agricultural components and our environment, and I also want to make sure that we're spending our money wisely, with focusing on priorities and funding those priorities. If everything's a priority, you don't have any priorities. So I think those are the areas that most of the constituents of Southeast Iowa would want me to focus on.
What strategies will you rely on to accomplish those goals? In other words, how will you get it done?
Well, many politicians make the serious mistake of making promises and saying what they're going to do. And it's as clear as the nose on our faces that you don't get things done alone. My entire career, I've had a great appreciation for bringing people together. The word partnershiping, networking, collaboration. And they can tell you anything that they want to tell you, but if you're going to go to the state senate, you better be able to communicate. You better be able to create relationships with people in your own party as well as people in the other party if you're going to hope to get things done. At the federal level right now, people are incredibly disgruntled with a polarization between both of our parties. And my promise to the citizens of District 41 is that I'm going to work very, very hard, like I have in my entire career as a leader, to bring people together. There's an old saying that you don't have to think alike, but you need to think together. It's powerful, and so you're not going to get your way all the time, and you're going to have to compromise. Hubert Humphrey said one time, it's better to have a half a loaf of bread than no bread at all. I believe that. So it's collaboration, it's partnershiping, it's networking. That's how you make things happen for the people you represent.
What makes you a better choice than Steve Seigel?
My range of experience, being a public servant for 43 years in a variety of positions, a long-term educator, which is a priority to Southeast Iowans. That's where I come from. And then, of course, my most recent leadership experience in economic development. Those two pieces are profound on my side of the ledger in terms of evidence that people can gather to say, so why Tom Rubel? Well, why Tom Rubel is because I've been a long-term educator as well as a person that has worked in the economic development ranks for Indian Hills Community College in this part of the state.
Where has Senator Shelgren fallen short, and what has he done well?
Senator Shelgren's no doubt a bright person. He has passion. Unfortunately, he have made passion for things that not everybody supports. It would be my opinion that Mark has probably not been a collaborator, not created the types of relationships that gets things done. Mark has said himself that there's been times where the Senate that he's been part of has not been very productive. Well, it's my opinion that he's, to a certain degree, held responsible for that. So I think he's a strong-willed person, and in some cases that's okay. But in the world of getting things done with a legislative body, you have to be a good listener, and you have to look at issues through the lens of other people. And I'm not convinced that Mark has the ability to do that.
Give us a summary of your professional career, community involvement, and overall resume items that you believe make you the best candidate for this job.
Well, I've been of course, been a K-12 educator for quite some time, and then a community college educator for the past 6 years. Classroom teacher for 10 years. So I know to a certain degree the issues of what classroom teachers are dealing with, although times have changed since I was in that position. Families are different, poverty is different, diversity is different. But I've stayed in touch with those things. And then as a building principal, a leadership role, tough work being a principal, both at the high school level, middle school level, junior high level. Been an athletic director, I understand that component of things, and most importantly, I've had a broad range of experience with curriculum and instruction and what effective teaching is. Then you take me to my superintendent years, when I've been responsible for 2 school districts that had millions of dollars in their budget. Probably in Glenwood, Iowa, maybe as close as 300 employees were my responsibility, and budgets that exceeded $20 million. And then coming to Ottumwa, Iowa in 2000, where our budgets exceeded $40 million, and with maybe over 500 employees. So those are big jobs. Those are big leadership roles, and I'm very proud of the fact that when I came to Ottumwa, Iowa in July of 2000, that I was given the responsibility to work with other people to solve some very significant problems. One significant problem was having a $2 million deficit. We were in the red. We were in debt, and the school board said, "Tom Rubel, let's put a plan together to get us out of debt." And I did, and I worked with other people collaboratively. It's a perfect example of not solving problems on your own. The teachers, the custodians, the cooks, the administration, the school board, the community came together and said, we're going to have to make some sacrifices. We're going to have to make some tough calls. And I led that, and I'm proud to be able to say that. I don't say that out of arrogance. I say that because you asked me what my strengths were. Those were big issues. And when I left the district, we had $1.5 million in cash reserve. So that was maybe around a $3.5 million turnaround in those 6 years. But a lot of people came together to make that happen. And of course, the other thing is I have a full appreciation for cultures of organizations, big organizations, and how all people have to be respected and appreciated and included. And if you have that, where people are respected and communicated with and included, then you have a culture that causes a whole lot of people to come together to own the direction of the district. For example, the Ottumwa Community School District. So, and I've been in some tough situations, and I've been under pressure, and all of those things contribute to me being a successful state senator. And that'll never go away. I have that experience. I have those expertise. I will use those in Des Moines, Iowa, if I'm fortunate enough to be elected.
We've heard some talk that you actually live in Ankeny. Can you clarify that for our readers and assure them that you are a resident of this district?
That is absolutely untrue. My wife, Pam, and I'm kind of glad you asked that question because this is 2014. My wife, Pam, works for the Iowa Board of Regents, and her work is all the way, and she has half of Iowa. And yes, we do own a home in Ankeny. That's where Pam resides during the week. And we have a home in Ottumwa, Iowa. And that's where I am the vast majority of the time. So I'm a little bit taken back by that, to think that somebody would suggest or imply that my wife is supposed to abandon her career so that she can follow mine. I think that's a little short-sighted. I'm an Ottumwan. I'm a Southeast Iowan. That's where I spend the majority of my time. And so that's almost on the verge of being silly for someone to suggest that I'm not committed to people of Southeast Iowa. I have been for over 14 years, close to 14 years, and I'll continue to be.
Ottumwa has been the beneficiary of several grant programs in recent years, many of which include state funds. Some say that there should be more grant dollars available. Others question whether their tax dollars should be funding projects and programs like Market on Main and Main Street Ottumwa. Are there too many state-funded grants out there? Not enough? And how will you decide which programs deserve your constituents' tax dollars?
Well, that's not an easy question to answer the way that it's framed, but let me respond this way. Southeast Iowan taxpayers pay into the state kitty, and that pool of money should be allocated fairly, and people that live in District 41 in Southeast Iowa should work hard at getting their fair share of grant dollars that may come from the state. I think that only makes sense. That's only good business. So when taxpayers contribute to a pool of money that is turned around and allocated to communities, absolutely, we need to work hard at getting back what we contributed to. Grant dollars have been valuable assets to our community in many ways and to our school systems. And I think if you improve the conditions of lives for people through grant dollars, I think if you improve educational systems through grant dollars, I think if you improve economic development through grant dollars, or the impression or the curb appeal of a community through infrastructure improvements, and grant dollars can help that you do that. The college depends heavily on grant dollars. We have a grant writer that I work with on many projects. So I don't think that we should ever apologize for us getting our fair share of grant dollars that are available. If we don't, somebody else will, and that's somewhat of an irritant of mine. Is that sometimes too many of our tax dollars could be going to communities that do not need it as badly as we do.
Does this district get its fair share of attention from the legislature? And if not, are you confident that you can change that?
I'm confident that I can change that, but it's not going to be overnight. You can't get things done in isolation. And you have to be able to somehow figure out a way to influence people's thinking that you're working with so that you can be an advocate of people in District 41, people in Southeast Iowa. So I have a high degree of confidence that I'm approachable, that I'm a communicator, that I'm a listener, and that I can express the views that the people of Southeast Iowa would like for me to express, and therefore get returns for what I'm elected and hired to do. And that's, and sometimes you have to be tough, and sometimes you have to be courageous, and sometimes you have to say the same thing over and over again so people hear it. But you never should apologize for being an advocate of what you believe in. I believe that Southeast Iowa is a great place to live and work, and I believe that through good leadership, through good Senate leadership, that I can make a difference for the people.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate your candidness, and that was all I had for you. Is there anything else you would like to add?
I'm just fortunate that people stepped forward for me last fall and last summer when I began thinking about running for the state senate, and the encouragement that I've received and the endorsements that I've received and the vote of confidence in some cases that I received. I really think that we're going to be successful June 3rd. And I think we'll be successful again in November. And at that time, then I've been hired, I've been elected, and will proceed for me to carry out the agenda that I've verbalized here today: education, economic development, infrastructure, and paying attention to our environment, and paying attention to how we spend our money on the right priorities. So, thanks.